When George and I went to college together in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, we made the drunken decision one night to start playing Dungeons and Dragons, and we've never looked back.
That's right. I became the game master for Nick and a bunch of our other actor-comedian friends telling crazy and hilarious stories together. So now, we're gonna bring some new ones to you.
George builds the world and the framework for a wild story, and I, along with an ever-rotating cast, adventure through it, rolling dice to see if our actions gloriously succeed or fail miserably on a quest to tell the tallest tale possible.
We'll be using Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rules for the most part, with a few minor tweaks. For example, when we roll a 20-sided die, 20s are automatic successes and 1s are automatic failures, or botches, which I'll roll severity for on a 100-sided die. Why? Because when we're at the table, I am God.
These little sagas do follow a linear plot, so if you want to know fully what's going on, we recommend starting at the top and following along. Without further ado, welcome to Hero Club. It was time to take that sinister scientist down. We had the firepower and the old guard at our side. But with a fleet of those skittery, hand-stealing bastards and the Necronomicon in the Doctor's possession, we had our work cut out for us.
Hero Club presents It Never Sleeps, a Hank Blackstone mystery. Chapter 6, The Invisible Flight. The night is cold. Hank and Charlie are piled in the back of Harold's car, driving to the airfield suspected of housing the Doctor's zeppelin. The fires of New York are far behind as the old guard and the new finally pull up to the airfield after a long, silent, determined drive. The sun is maybe an hour from rising now. The longest night of our heroes' lives is almost at an end. Henry, you and Charles go for the garage. I'll find a place to hide the car. Jacob, go with these boys. I'll meet up with you soon. Ellie will be along shortly with the plane, hopefully.
Right away, Harry.
As everybody hops out of the car, Harold quietly accelerates away, trying to make as little noise with the car as possible. As you guys look at the entrance to the airfield, framed by a barbed wire fence and a security booth, you see that it has been more than a little bit disturbed. The glass in the security booth has been shattered, most likely by bullet holes. You see several bodies strewn along the ground. A little bit of blood has started to pool. When you inspect the bodies a little bit closer, you see that many of them have been shot, but there have been a few that have been rended apart, hands missing, eyes missing, legs missing. The Doctor has almost definitely been through here.
Looks like we're not far behind him.
What tipped you off?
Oh, you know, all the legless, eyeless, handless bodies.
Oh, those? Yeah.
As you approach the gate, from the security booth, where there are several bodies slumped over some desks, you hear a weird muttering noise.
Oh, squish. Everything squishes. Everything goes. Everything's done. Oh, no. Oh, squish, crawly, hands, crawl. Squish, crawly, hands, crawl. Eyes. That's not it.
Oh, no. What is that?
Hank points his new rifle in the direction of the booth and announces himself. Hey, whoever's in there, I don't know what you're muttering about, but please show me your hands.
The door explodes open. You see a man before you whose clothes are gone. He is holding 4 severed hands, 2 in each hand. He is apparently trying to stick them into his body using the serrated parts of bone protruding from the hands. You can see that his accidental self-mutilation has taken a very serious toll physically on him, but his energy is horrifyingly eccentric.
Hachi-machi.
Ooh, times like these I'm glad I can't see, right, boys?
Hands, your hands, my hands. Hands, mine, my hands, you see, hands, no see, eyes, plopped out, hands, run.
Right before your eyes, he reaches 5 fingers into one of his eye sockets. Without screaming, without even reacting to the pain, he plucks one of his own eyes out.
Oh, hard pass.
Yikes.
Did he just pluck an eye out? sounded like an eye being plucked out.
How do you know offhand what that sounds like?
Yes, he plucked his own eye out. Sir, please stay where you are, or we'll have to put you down. I don't want to do that, but you got some freaky stuff going on.
You can see as he turns around to pick up several more severed appendages that have been left behind, he has just the back of a security uniform on him. He has apparently tried to rip most of his clothes off, but hasn't gotten to the back. You can glean that this is probably a security guard who witnessed whatever happened here.
Say, Chuck, why don't you be a pal and put this fella down for a catnap so we can get about our business?
Yeah, I feel like anything would be better for him than what he's going through right now, so, hello? Charlie socks him right in the head.
Roll d20.
14.
Down he goes, unconscious, probably very mercifully.
Hank steps over him gingerly and heads towards the hangar.
The gate is already ajar. You guys can slip through pretty easily without making a sound. The whole airfield seems pretty abandoned, but you can see the remnants of what was probably a lot of activity, a lot of garbage strewn all over the place. Tire tracks parallel to the runway. Hank, roll an investigation check for me.
33.
These look maybe 30 minutes old. By taking a few minutes to analyze the tracks a little bit, you can eventually see where they've been coming from, and there's a massive hangar all the way at the end of the airfield that you can see. Can you all roll a perception check for me?
13.
9.
Nat 20.
Hank, you're the only one who sees this. There are 2 men standing at the entrance to the hangar. The hangar is closed, so they're just sort of leaning up against the garage-style door. They're probably about a football field away.
Hey. Hank points at the 2 guards and alerts Charlie and Jake of their presence.
Charlie nods.
Hank's gonna take the roundabout way towards them, moving stealthily.
Okay, roll stealth check for me.
20.
It takes you just like a minute or two, but eventually you come up right behind them on the side of the hangar, and you can hear them talking to each other. There's a large electronic-looking box between them, and one of them pulls out a cigarette and starts smoking it as he talks casually to the other guard.
So do you find it odd that we are under orders not to speak any German while we're here?
Yes, I do find that odd. I think it is because he wants us to really immerse ourselves in the culture so we can really blend in.
That is true. This assignment has been very helpful for my English. I'm actually very appreciative of it. It's been very enriching.
Yes, it's a beautiful language when you really get over the vulgarity of it, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
Americans are pigs and mongrels, but I do appreciate their mother tongue.
Charlie concentrates really hard and changes his face, then walks out into plain view of the guards. Hello, boys. It is me, Adolf Hitler.
Oh my god!
Mein Führer!
The Führer is back from the dead! Charlie looks exactly like Adolf Hitler, mustache and all, but gigantic, and wearing a large pair of perfectly circular glasses.
Turns out I didn't die. I just lost my vision a lot, so I gotta wear these glasses. Hey, I'm Hitler.
Are you here to kill us?
No. You know, I'm just trying to say hello to my fellow Germans over here.
After what the doctor did to you, you are truly the most forgiving.
Yeah, what the doctor did was great. Hey, come over here and shake my real Hitler hands.
Oh, it would be an honor, mein Führer, to shake your hand.
Oh my god, I have not washed my hands in 24 hours. I'm not worthy to shake the hand of such a forgiving Führer, whose English is so perfect.
Karl, the Führer commands you to shake his hands. Now do it.
Of course I will. He rubs off his hands on his jacket and approaches you.
You're both very, very worthy. Please just come over here and don't look behind you.
What?
Hank is just standing behind the guy on the left. Fellas. And Hank stabs the guy on the left in the throat.
Blood starts spraying out of his neck. The Führer has come for revenge!
Goose step. Charlie goose steps one of the Germans right in the balls with his gigantic rock feet.
Roll an attack roll.
20.
The German man sinks to the floor, clutching his gonads.
Charlie changes his face to look exactly like Winston Churchill, except for with glasses and a mustache.
The bulldog himself.
Ha, just kidding. It was me all along, Winston Churchill. Charlie curb stomps his head into the ground.
With the 2 Germans laying dead next to the hangar, you notice that the big electrical box between them was in fact a radio.
Well, boys, that sounded and smelled like quite a spectacle. Let's see what's playing on this radio, shall we?
Hank grabs the set of headphones next to the radio and fiddles with the dial searching for a frequency.
You come upon a couple of radio stations by accident that all sound equally ridiculous.
Anderson, where's my spaghetti dinner?
Mamma mia!
Jake Wade up to bat, and a big whiff from Jake Wade, going down as one of the worst Yankees in baseball history.
And now the musical stylings of the Brothers Soup.
Old Shit River.
It was an inside job, I tell you. No Japanese plane goes fast enough to blow up against a destroyer. FDR did Pearl Harbor. I'm telling you.
SOS! SOS! This is Officer Dick McCoy. I was working traffic in the middle of Times Square. Mr. Blackstone, if you're listening, please come help.
Next.
Attention, Carl and Hans. You may leave the airfield. We are approaching the Hudson. I repeat, we are approaching the Hudson. You are no longer required to remain at the airfield.
We gotta shake a leg, fellas. They're already over the Hudson.
Dear God.
You see Professor Pennyweather sort of waddling quickly towards the hangar, and he calls from far away.
Make haste! Open the hangar door! We must hurry!
Chuck, will you give me a hand with this? Hank attempts to raise the hangar door with his hands.
Okay, ready? On 3. 1,
2.
Jake hits the button that opens the hangar door.
It slowly cranks upward.
Good eye, Jake.
No problem there, fellas.
After the hangar doors rise, you see as your eyes adjust to the darkness, a World War II bomber. Just sitting in the hangar. It looks worn, it looks beaten up. This thing has definitely seen some action. Professor Pennyweather finally reaches you, definitely out of breath. Well done, boys. I see you. Don't hesitate to get a bit messy. He scrapes some of the blood off of his shoes that he stepped in, the pile of brain that Charlie curb stomped. He walks in, pats the World War II bomber on the side. Only wish they hadn't disarmed it. Could have done some real damage with this thing otherwise. Well, boys, time to go for a flight. Professor Pennyweather goes to the back. The door slowly lowers as he pulls the lever, and everybody begins to step up the ramp and into the plane.
Hank walks up, finds a paratrooper seat, and clips in.
Charlie takes up 2 seats and connects 2 different seatbelts to cover his mass.
Harold moves up to the cockpit. Come along, Jacob. Jake heads up front and sits in the co-pilot seat.
Ho, this takes me back. Hey, girl. Jake starts flipping levers and buckling his seatbelt like he's about to co-pilot the plane.
Harold also begins pulling levers and flipping switches. Oh, goodness, I hope this still works. And then finally pulls one final lever. The propeller sputters again, and then roars to life. And the plane slowly creeps out of the hangar and starts to move along the runway.
Oh, it's louder than I thought it would be. Okay.
What?
It's louder than I thought it would be.
You boys say something?
Hold on a moment. I, as always, have a solution. Jacob, take the wheel.
You got it, Professor.
Professor Pennyweather gets up from the seat, moves over to the back, opens a crate, moves some stuff around. You can't really hear anything he's saying, but he seems to be muttering to himself a little bit and then shaking his head. Finally, he pulls out a little box, opens this latch as the plane continues to move down the runway, and on it you see 4 metallic blue earpieces just sitting on a suede cushion. He moves over to you and hands them to you and motions to put them in your ears.
Hank grabs 2 and hands one to Charlie.
Charlie takes one and puts it in the hole that is his ear.
Hank follows suit.
Professor Pennyweather pops one in his ear, and like a radio, you can hear him crystal clear through a filter.
Ah, much better. Now we can hear each other just fine. See, Jacob, I told you these Atlantean earpieces would come in handy.
What?
Oh, of course.
He moves up to the cockpit, taps Jake on the shoulder, and hands him an earpiece.
Jake puts the earpiece in.
These those Atlantean earpieces you were going on about? Professor, I'm sorry I ever doubted you.
Can we talk quieter with them
Oh, my God.
Wait, so you can hear me right now?
Fuck me.
Damn it.
Charles.
I'm sorry. First time on a plane.
Shit. Charles.
Dial it down a bit, boy.
Talk quieter.
How's this? Everybody hear me right now?
Yes, that is appropriate.
Sorry.
Professor Pennyweather takes the earpiece out, puts it in his other ear.
Oh, good God, I have tinnitus forever. All right, sound off. Pelican, okay.
Vampire bat, okay.
There's a silence. Professor Pennyweather and Jake both look back at you expectantly.
Were we supposed to come up with names?
Oh, just pick a bird.
Okay. Night owl. Okay. Galapagos finch. Okay.
Everybody kind of looks back at Charlie weird.
The Galapagos Islands have always fascinated me. Does that not fit me too well?
No, it really doesn't matter. It's just a thing we do to, hype ourselves up for the battle.
They're fascinating birds.
It's perfect. It's a perfect bird, Chuck.
At that, the plane takes off. Both Professor Pennyweather and Jake bank the plane hard to the left, and you guys fly off towards New York City.
So is there a game plan for when we get up to this thing? Because I don't know about you, but I've never seen a zeppelin in person before.
Professor Pennyweather gets up, holds on to various rungs on the ceiling so he can move through the plane, pulls down a slide projector, and over the plane's roar begins to show you slides and schematics of what the Zeppelin probably looks like.
This is a schematic of the Hindenburg. I have it on good authority that Zeppelin, the company, produced both the Hindenburg and the rigid airship we are about to encounter.
So what you're saying is it's gonna explode?
No, goodness no. Rigid airships are now using helium, so shouldn't be many flammable materials aboard.
Drag, I was hoping to light that sucker on fire the second we got to it.
Well, it is flying over New York City, so perhaps it's a blessing in disguise, Henry?
Fair enough.
He begins to elaborate on the blueprints. You see that the cabin contains many individual bedrooms. There are a couple of dining rooms on either side of these bedrooms, and little promenades with windows that overlook whatever the Zeppelin is above. The interior of the balloon is massive, but not much really exists within it. There is a small deck on top of the Zeppelin as well, just sort of metal beams that are wide enough for people to walk on if they were to have to get on top of the Zeppelin before takeoff, but he explains that these are only used in emergency situations. Done explaining, he releases the slide projector. It retracts back up into the ceiling. He gives all of you a thumbs up for understood.
Hank and Charlie return the gesture.
He is about to go back to the cockpit, and then he thinks for a moment. He looks back to the chest he pulled the Atlantean earpieces out of.
No, I think this might merit bringing these out.
He goes over to the chest, pops it open. He looks back over his shoulder at you.
I usually don't bring these out, but with a situation this dire.
He brings out another smaller chest from the large chest, hobbles over to you, struggling to keep his balance as a little bit of turbulence hits the plane, sets it down at your feet, pops it open, and you see two very ancient-looking artifacts. One of them is an intricately designed obsidian dagger with little red highlights in the hilt and the blade. The other, a pair of giant stone gauntlets with very foreign-looking inscriptions on the wrists, a language that you don't recognize.
A dear friend of mine left these for me a long time ago. Brilliant man, until of course he lost his mind, started talking about how he was going to travel to the future or something like that to play games for the rest of eternity, but I'm sure he's dead. He was truly off his rocker the last time I saw him. Yeah, positive he's dead. Anyway, he would be thrilled that two men such as yourselves would wield these in battle.
Sure am sad he's gone. He was truly an inspiration.
On the interior of the lid of the chest, you see two initials, M.M., carved in cursive into the wood.
May I, Professor?
Of course.
Hank gets up from his seat and delicately lifts the dagger from out of its holding. Hank flips it in his hands a couple times, admiring how balanced it is.
Charlie reverently puts on the gauntlets.
Oh, finally, gloves in my size. They suit you perfectly. All right, we should be there in about, Jacob, 2 minutes?
2.5, give or take a few seconds for wind resistance.
How will we proceed? I defer to you, gentlemen. Time to get the old farts out of the way for the young ones to take charge.
What do you say, young fart?
Well, I think it would be a darn shame not to use our flying carpet. Professor, could you get us over the Zeppelin and open up those bomb doors? We'll take it from there.
Damn, I've always wanted to land on a Zeppelin.
No, Jacob, we're not going to land on it. We're just going to get over it. Yes, we can do that. Let's do that.
He quickly waddles back up to the front of the plane, takes his seat. You guys wait a couple of minutes, and then suddenly, below you, out the window, you see the Hudson River. And then as you look up, out the front of the plane, you see a 900-foot Zeppelin. Dark gray balloon material stretched over large metal beams that you can see sort of poking through this thing like ribs. Along the side, you see a name. The Überlegen.
Uberlegen? The hell is an Uberlegen?
No, Hank, the Überleden. It means the superior in German.
Oh my god. It's bigger than the Hindenburg. I didn't anticipate this.
As you look up into the cockpit, you see Professor Pennyweather's hands shaking. This is clearly something that even he and the old guard are not ready for. Harold looks to Jake, who in turn looks back, They both clasp hands for a moment.
Last chance to change your mind. Are we still trying to get above it?
The way I see it, we're the only thing standing between those German bastards and the end of the world. And I plan to stand, Professor. Stay the course.
Very well. Here we go!
He thrusts forward. Jake also thrusts forward in unison. The plane moves a little faster, jerks forward. As you get over the Hudson, you see a spotlight on top of the Zeppelin. Flick on, rotate, and all of a sudden you are blinded by a light that shines through the windshield of the plane. There's a moment as everybody covers their eyes, and then all of a sudden, as you look at the Zeppelin, at the surface of the balloon, you start to see movement. The balloon appears to be writhing, and then slowly you see 4, 5, 6, then suddenly too many to count. Cephalopodic creatures begin to shirk their camouflage, crawl up onto the top of the Zeppelin, and then they all jump off. And as they fall, as they pass the bottom of the Zeppelin, in unison, wings unfurl. The wings beat. The cephalopods begin to gain altitude. They swirl in a geese-like V formation, and then begin heading towards the plane.
On second thought, Professor, you should drop us right here.
Noted!
He pulls a lever. The bomb doors open up. Suddenly, a rush of wind enters the plane as the pressure changes. The carpet unfurls, lays on the ground, motionless.
Is there like a should we just sit on it and see what happens?
Just get on it!
Hank kind of awkwardly sits down in the front with Charlie behind him like they're in a toboggan and scoots it up to the bomb doors.
It still hasn't started flying yet, and you start to wonder, did you take the wrong carpet?
I don't know. I don't know, Chuck. What if this was just a rug?
Keep scooting.
You and the carpet drop. Hey guys, this is George for the last time this season. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us to the end of this story. We hope you have a blast with the last episode. It was a really special one to record. We couldn't do it without the amazingly creative people we get to work with, and we also couldn't have done it without Mage Hand Press, a group of brilliant D&D homebrewers who came up with our character subclasses and also handed us tons of inspiration in the form of their Lovecraft handbook, available on their website now, which is magehandpress.com. One more time, that's magehandpress.com. They have so much insanely cool content on there. If you haven't already checked it out and downloaded everything they have into a neat little folder on your desktop like I have, you are missing out. A huge thanks to those guys, as always. It's a huge honor being able to collaborate with them. Make sure you get your friends on board and listening to Hero Club so that we can continue to grow and make more seasons until we get old and die. This is one of our favorite things to do, and it's even more fun when we see how big this little club has gotten over just the past few months. We hope it keeps getting bigger. Cheers, y'all. Hank, out of sheer panic, you pull up on the carpet and it immediately starts taking off forward and gaining altitude as you continue to pull on it out of sheer terror.
Oh, fuck! Oh, this is worse! Oh, this is worse!
Oh, my gentle Christ.
You see the cephalopods approaching. They begin to sort of spread out, and you start to hear their sickening, crackling gargle from far away.
Aim for the blimp, Hank! Aim for the blimp!
Hank gets a firmer grasp on the two tassels on either corner of the front and banks down and left towards the blimp.
You are taking off way faster than that bomber is moving. Soon you outstrip it completely, then you're over the city and past the Hudson, but you see above you, as you sort of blow past and under the cephalopods above, that they have wheeled around and are actually keeping up with you relatively easily.
Charlie, take the reins.
Okay.
You awkwardly switch positions, desperately clinging to the sides.
Hank, shakily at first, stands up and then feels his shoes lock into the surface and gets a sturdy stance and pulls the scoped rifle from a sheath on his back. Aiming through the scope, Hank fires a shot off at the leadmost creature.
Roll an attack roll.
18.
Normally, firing from the carpet would give you disadvantage, but the scope allows you to sort of center yourself a little bit. The bullet tears through the creature. Roll damage.
11.
It punctures one of the wings. The creature does react, but it continues its course.
Hank wheels and fires at another creature. 23.
Another hit.
18 damage.
This one hits a little more significantly one of the creatures just to the right of the last one. You see a couple of the limbs just shear right off the body. The gurgling is getting closer, even over the wind.
Hank fires a third shot at a third creature. 13.
You can tell the shot probably went wide as you go over a little bit of wind that bumps the carpet, but suddenly, 1, 2, 4, and then 6 of the creatures explode.
Oh man, this rifle's something else. I thought I was just grabbing a rifle, but it turns out it's an exploding rifle.
You look up to the left, and you see a bright yellow with red striped biplane emerge out of the clouds. 2 gigantic Gatling guns firing away. As you look up into the cockpit wearing big, thick goggles, a flight cap, and an open, screaming mouth, Eloise Thompson is squeezing triggers and dive bombing into the crowd of creatures.
Never mind. It's just a rifle.
There she is! Go, Woodpecker, go!
Over your intercom.
Hey, sorry that we've been screaming. Has that been hurting the ears?
Very much so. I took mine out a little bit ago.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry. This is very scary.
We were very much afraid for our lives. I'm so sorry.
Okay, stop talking, more shooting.
With renewed vigor, Hank takes one more shot at the wave of creatures with the rifle. 16.
That's a hit. Roll damage.
22.
The leadmost creature takes a bullet right through what you assume is the head and immediately just sort of careens off towards the ground. If it were a plane, there'd be smoke trailing behind. Eloise finishes her strafe and peels off into the distance, ready to bank around for another run. All of the creatures appear very distracted by that plane and take off towards Eloise and Harold's bomber. It takes you guys about a minute to get up to the Zeppelin. In the meantime, you see Eloise bank expertly around a Times Square skyscraper, begin another strafing run. You see many of these cephalopods explode upon impact with these massive caliber guns that are mounted on each wing. And then you see, by the light of the Zeppelin's spotlight, a person drop out of the bomb doors of the bomber, and after a couple seconds of trying to discern a few more details, you can tell it's Jake. Jake crawls up a couple of rungs, desperately trying to cling on to the side of the plane, gets to the top of the bomber, clinging on with all of his might, and then opens his arms, lets go, and a squirrel suit extends out from his armpits, and he takes off backwards into the night before he levels his body forward, begins to move with the plane's momentum, and he collides with one of the cephalopods and just begins repeatedly stabbing it.
Ah, shut your gab, you rising trash heap. Feels good to be back in a scrap.
Jake rides the creature down as it starts to fall through the sky, squirrel suits up again, and finds another creature to latch onto. You see the bomber pull upwards, and Harold begins to take it up into the clouds, several creatures in tow.
Ah, they're on the wings. Pelican ascending. Vampire bat. Woodpecker. Keep them busy.
The bomber disappears upwards into the clouds.
Chuck, pull up next to those cabin windows. I have an idea.
All right.
The carpet accelerates forward. Eventually, you pull alongside the cabin. You see windows into a beautiful dining room that is completely abandoned.
Get me as close as possible. I'm going in.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Carpet. Can you please stop?
It stops dead in the air. The Zeppelin starts to move away from the carpet.
No, keep up with the Zeppelin. Could you do that, Mr. Carpet?
It continues back up with the Zeppelin and maintains alongside the cabin.
Thank you, Mr. Carpet.
Are you speaking to the carpet? It is a tool. It is not a sentient carpet. It does not have a personality. That would be ridiculous. God, I've lost a wing.
It seems to respond to Mr. Carpet. It has a favorite name.
There's static on Harold's end, and then there's no response.
Harold? Professor?
God, I hope he's okay. And with that, Hank leaps off the carpet across the gap and lands shoe first on the glass of the Zeppelin.
Can you make an acrobatics check for me?
20.
Hank's feet connect, and he sticks.
Oh, you see that, Chuck?
Yeah, give me a warning next time.
Hank pulls his new dagger from his hip and starts to expertly cut a hole into the glass window.
Okay, get me close, Mr. Carpet.
The carpet moves closer to the Zeppelin.
Using his new shoes, Charlie leaps off the carpet with incredible force and crashes through the window.
Can you roll an athletics check for me, please?
19.
Charlie crashes through the window. Hank barely moves aside in time.
Jesus Christ! Charlie, you warn me next time!
I think we just have to have a countdown system. Oh God, I'm so happy to be on this blimp.
Hank uses 2 hands to swing himself into the open hole of the window.
You're both inside the blimp. You start to hear footsteps from far off. Up a little ramp and down the hallway is where the footsteps are coming from, sort of echoing along the walls. A quick scan of the room reveals a golden carpet, red velvet chairs, cutlery that is beautifully polished silver, and a pristine bar top with a gorgeous chandelier just lightly swinging back and forth as wind whips into the cabin.
Hank gets an idea, starts rummaging through his coat pockets, and pulls out the baggie containing the dust of disappearance. He then breaks it open, says, "Here goes nothing," and showers the 2 of them in the fine powder.
Hank and Charlie disappear as Hank throws the dust up and it settles back onto the floor. To someone just entering the room, the window has been crashed open from the outside. A little bit of dust dirties the carpet along with the shattered glass, but otherwise, there's nobody here. As Hank and Charlie wait at the entrance of the hallway on either side, 2 men sprint down the hallway, see the window is crashed open. Was ist das?
Fritz, English? We are under specific orders.
Oh, mein Gott. Fine English. What is this? The window broken is.
What are you talking about? I was too caught up in the laps and the English. Oh mein Gott!
The 2 Germans move to the edge of the window and peek outside, trying to look at what could possibly have shattered it from the outside.
Hank silently creeps up behind them and gives them the little push that they need to topple over the ledge out of the zeppelin.
So I'm gonna need you to make 2 strength checks, one at a time. First for Fritz.
18.
What?
14.
The second guard whips around, sees Hank as the invisibility dust dissipates and reveals his full body.
And Hank gives him a chest shove out the window.
You knock the wind out of him. He stumbles backwards a couple of steps, and then he falls out the window.
It's never too late to learn a new language.
The cabin is eerily quiet except for the whipping of wind, the roaring of engines, the screeching of monsters, and the report of machine gun fire coming from the outside. But inside, not much sound. Hank is now fully revealed. Charlie remains invisible.
I say we take this one nice and quiet, Chuck. Let's make our way to the cockpit. See if we can't find this doctor.
Both of you make stealth checks for me.
18.
15.
As you move down the hallway and you pass one of the open doors, you see a couple of guards, like 3 or 4 of them in one room, loading Tommy guns, adjusting their coats, and getting ready to move out in a battle-ready formation.
Hank pushes forward and creeps past the open door.
They don't notice you, and in fact, as you get further down the hallway, they all stream out the opposite way and start moving towards where the window is broken, totally not noticing either of you.
Hank and Charlie keep sneaking down the hallway, following signs towards the cockpit.
On your left and your right, you see 2 sets of stairs leading upwards into what you assume is like the machine room where the engine is really pumping the helium into the balloon. Forward, you see a door, 8 or 9 Germans at control panels, looking out the window, guiding this rigid airship over Manhattan.
Charlie approaches the door, still invisible, opens it, and sneaks in.
9 heads turn. Nobody sees anything except that the door has swung open.
Charlie sidles against the wall, trying to get deeper into the room.
It's rather narrow. You see 4 Germans on either side of you with 1 at the head.
Charlie creeps between the Germans, trying to get to the front of the room.
The one at the front says, "Somebody close that."
Ugh, always me closing the door, closing the door. You close it, Hans.
Rudolph, don't make me ask again.
Oh yes, makes the one who designs the blimp close the door. Very nice.
As he gets to the door to close it,
Hank pops out, grabs the top of his head, and shoves the black dagger up through the bottom of his chin into his head.
roll an attack with advantage.
Nat 20.
Roll double damage plus double sneak attack damage.
64.
Go ahead and describe it. And also, just because the damage is so high past his hit points, you can make another attack after this.
The dagger disappears to the hilt in Rudolph's chin, killing him instantly. He shucks Rudolph to the side and throws the blade with deadly accuracy at the man at the helm.
Roll another attack.
Another nat 20.
Roll double damage plus sneak attack.
Another 64.
As you throw the dagger, it sails directly over Charlie's shoulder, ends up right in the guy's forehead, and then you feel your body evaporate, get sucked forward as if by some invisible vacuum, and you reappear out of smoke on the man's chest with your hand around the dagger sticking out of his forehead.
Holy shit! Chuck, holy shit!
And that nat 20 plus all that damage, make one more attack.
Hank quickly gets his bearings, yanks the dagger out of the captain's forehead, grabs another German, and tries to cut his throat. 16.
Yes, roll your damage.
25.
Describe that.
Hank uses the captain's still standing corpse as a launching point and pounces off of him onto the nearest German, pinning him against the control panel and cutting his throat. He then stands in the center of the room ready for more.
All of the Germans' mouths that are left drop open. They all begin fumbling in their coats for their pistols that are somewhere in their coats, but gosh darn, they just can't seem to find them.
You think that's crazy? Wait till you get a load of me. Charlie bumps his two gauntlets together in preparation.
Charlie, as you bump your knuckles together, you feel a weird energy rip up your arms, into your chest, into your legs, into your head, and all of a sudden, everything around you is just suddenly smaller. It's as if the whole Zeppelin has shrunk a little bit, and all the people too. Charlie is now a 14-foot visible monster in the center of this room.
Who looks like Winston Churchill?
Oh my god, that is the bulldog himself! Ah! Oh!
And in addition to all this, Charlie rages. Charlie grabs the entire heads of two Germans and smashes them together. Once they go limp, he grabs both of their legs and uses them to sandwich a third guy with their bodies. 15, 31, 30.
That's 3 hits. Can you just roll damage for me?
18, 18, 11.
We shall fight them on the beaches! We shall fight on the landing ground!
9. Bitte, 9.
We shall fight on the fields and in the streets!
The 3 remaining Germans shakily pull out pistols and fire off shots at you. Hank takes 26 damage as 2 bullets pierce his body.
Hank dives behind a control panel and only takes 20 damage.
Charlie takes 12 damage, halved from his raging.
Hank emerges from his covered position under the control panel and leaps knee first into another engineer's chest in an attempt to bring him to the floor and stab him in the throat on the ground.
Roll an attack.
25.
Roll damage.
22 damage.
That's a kill.
Hank lands on the engineer's chest, bringing him to the ground with his full weight, and drives the knife home into the German's throat, and then barrel rolls off of the dead engineer through Charlie's legs and disengages.
2 Germans point their pistols at you, Charlie.
Charlie attempts to kick one of them through the window. 28.
This guy was surprisingly ready for the kick, but not quite ready for a 14-foot stone golem to kick him through the window of a Zeppelin.
We shall fight in the hills!
Charlie lifts the final guy up, pinning him to the ceiling, and punches him through it. 27.
Roll your damage.
12.
We shall never surrender!
As Charlie's fist connects with his head, the head disappears up into the ceiling, and the body swings limp from the ceiling like a disgusting chandelier.
Whoa, Chuck, you're huge, pal!
Charlie's rage subsides.
And I'm loving it.
Hank goes towards the main control panel and rolls an investigation check to see if he can tell how to drive it towards the Hudson. 23.
Hank, even with an insanely high check like that, flying a Zeppelin, still sort of out of your purview. You're not 100% sure what all these things do. You hear static in your ear again.
On top of the Zeppelin! He's on top of the...
Out the window of the Zeppelin, you see a thin green ray of light fire downwards, and you see Eloise Thompson's biplane as it rips through several of these giant cephalopods disintegrate. The whole plane just disappears into dust. You see Eloise Thompson, suddenly planeless, fly through the air, arms flailing, through the fog and the smoke in the distance.
Ellie!
You see 2 middle fingers pop up. You see 4 of the cephalopods surround her and just begin to tear her apart. But as her limbs start coming off, one of her hands gets free. She pulls a cord on the front of her jacket.
Yep, yeah!
There's a massive explosion. 4 cephalopods, smoking, fall to the earth, and there's an eerie quiet.
We gotta get to the top of this Zeppelin. I'm gonna kill that bastard.
For Eloise.
Hank bolts out of the room and up the stairs.
Charlie follows.
You see a couple of guards on your way, but as soon as they see Charlie's gigantic 14-foot mass, they turn tail. Some of them actually jump out the window and pull parachutes.
Hank completely ignores them and keeps sprinting as hard as he can towards where he knows the latch is for the top of the zeppelin.
As you get to the latch, you try it, and it's locked.
Charlie punches through the door.
Roll a strength check for me.
23.
The metal creaks. It doesn't blast open off the hinges, but you do break the mechanism, and you're able to swing it open. As soon as you breach this trapdoor, you're met with the cavernous sound of helium gas being pumped into an immense cavernous balloon. Around you is almost complete darkness, save for a couple of lights, illuminating some of the mechanisms that are actually keeping the helium circulating throughout the balloon. Right in the center of all of these mechanisms, a ladder leads directly upward.
Come on, I hear the doctor is in. And Hank scrambles up the ladder towards the top of the zeppelin.
Hank shoots up the ladder. Charlie, as your gigantic body grabs each rung, once in a while, one will just pop off the metal, and you learn to be a little more ginger with it, and carefully and slowly, you make your way up behind. But as you look back down, so many of the rungs have been ripped off towards the bottom. There's no way anybody's following you, but also not a great chance you're gonna have an easy time getting back down this ladder if you choose to go this way.
Hank breaches the surface of the hatch.
This one is unlocked. It kicks open. You're met with an insane whipping of wind. Flecks of precipitation wick across your cheeks. And as you look around the roof of the Zeppelin, you see, at the front of it, a man standing with his back to you, in a bright white lab coat, bald head with wispy white hair shining in the distance, standing at a stone altar. As the doctor speaks, it sounds dark and amplified. I was wondering when you'd get here. Blackstone and Associate. Hank and Charlie get up on top of the blimp, find the metal beams that will support their weight. Charlie still standing 14 feet tall, and face the doctor atop the Zeppelin.
Yeah, that's me. Associate.
I'll be honest. It took me a bit longer than I expected to find the right spell to melt your friend's plane. But I think this one will do nicely.
He points his finger off to the side, still not looking at you, shoots another green ray of energy out. It crackles through the night, and you see Jake flying through the sky directly at the doctor, knives in hand, screaming a war cry. As the bolt of energy meets him, he disappears in a red puff.
Jake, no!
No!
The doctor shakes his hand. Smoke wisps off his fingers.
Darling, would you grab some for me?
You feel two stone hands grab your back. Charlie, as you turn your head specifically, about the same height as you, at 14 feet tall, a grotesque stone face with spines sticking out of various parts of the rock, dark, soulless eyes, no clothing, a golem that looks like an abomination that was based on you.
Do I know you?
Grab her!
Very good.
Hank attempts to wriggle out of the gargantuan hand.
Make a dex save for me.
23.
As you manage to slip your way out of its fist, it just re-grabs you by tossing you just a little bit in the air like a baseball. You are like a Barbie in this thing's hand.
No, leave! Doctor, what the hell is this thing?
Oh, that is just something I whipped up before I came here. You remember I made something like you once? Well, I got better at it. Gentlemen, meet the Uber Sledge. I like to call it an improvement. It has all the strengths of your friend, without the smart mouth.
What are you talking about, Specs?
A golem? A creature of stone? Except in my experience, creations like this usually obey their masters. Funny how you don't seem beholden to the man who summoned you.
I'm not beholden, pal. He's my best friend.
Yeah, Big Charlie answers to no man.
Well, when I cut you open later, I will investigate what makes that so.
Good fucking luck.
The doctor begins to pace around the stone altar. As he turns to face you as he rounds its corner, you see him holding the Necronomicon in his hands. It's open. He's flipping through pages, almost as if he's skimming it, looking for something in particular. The doctor's finger glows green again and just points at Charlie. But he's looking at Hank. He begins to leave the stone altar and steps towards you with a confident swagger.
The master race. Adolf Hitler's grand idea.
An admirable concept,
But but horribly misguided. You see, Adolf looked for this superior race within humanity. Aryans! Ha! And he believed he had found them. Yes, he did. But for all of the experiments he commanded me to perform, he wouldn't listen to what I concluded, that there is no difference between people. There is no master race. There is only one human race. Perhaps slightly different genetic consistencies, skin tone, facial features, but weakness is present in them all. Weakness is the common denominator of every man, woman, and child on this earth. He just wouldn't listen. Then I happened upon this. He holds up the Necronomicon. Found it in an attempted retrieval of an old whaling ship in the Atlantic Ocean. The knowledge it gave me, the truths it revealed to me. Hitler was short-sighted, angry, a fool. He sought the perfect race within the abomination that is humanity. He did not have the wisdom. He did not have the courage to seek outside. So, after much frustration, after a dead-end debate, and then another, and another, I burned him alive in his little hidey hole, sacrificed him to create what he always dreamed of. The first step towards his ultimate goal. I gave him the perfect gift in a way, and now, after all of this time, I have finally realized where my previous experiments were going wrong. You should know more than anyone, Henry Blackstone. The best tricks are pulled off with a willing volunteer. He takes out a ceremonial knife, steps up onto the altar. This is what I have been waiting for! Stabs himself in the heart.
Hank manages to get the dagger free from its hip sheath, and from his lifted position in the hand of the golem, flings it towards the surface of the zeppelin.
As the dagger embeds itself in the balloon, Hank dissipates into smoke, reappears below the golem's fist.
Hank pulls the dagger out of the balloon in full sprint, pulls his rifle out of its back sheath, takes a knee, and fires at the doctor.
Roll an attack.
17.
The bullet whizzes perfectly on target. It's gonna pierce his head, you're positive. And as the bullet gets within 10 feet, it just disintegrates into dust. And you see the ripples of a magical shield blocking him and the altar end.
Charlie slowly takes off his glasses, reverting back to his rock form, and looks deep into the other rock golem's eyes. He silently rages.
Pal, looks like you got a lot to learn.
Charlie breaks the grapple.
Roll strength check for me.
24.
You shatter his fist open, and he reels back a bit.
Charlie uses his shoes and jumps high into the air, and then comes crashing down on the rock golem.
Okay, make your attack.
That's a nat 20.
Oh, roll your damage.
38 damage.
Charlie plummets down from his massive jump. The nega golem looks upwards stupidly, confused, and as the fist connects, both Giant Charlie and the Uber sledge crash through the balloon. A rift opens up, gas hisses upwards as it starts escaping, and Charlie and this giant thing plummet all the way down the ladder. Charlie, you and this golem both take 48 damage, but due to your raging, you only take half of that. So you're gonna take 24. The Uber sledge is gonna take 48. There's a crash as you both plow into the machinery below. You hear the whirring sort of stop on a lot of these machines, and you feel a slight but definite pitch forward as the Zeppelin begins to lose altitude. The Uber sledge groans as it throws some debris off of itself.
You are...
The golem's eyes turn red and glow in the dark balloon. Its mouth hangs agape, and it raises its fist like a practiced boxer and begins to advance towards you. Back on top of the blimp, the doctor turns around to face the approaching and kneeling Hank.
A gun? You think a rifle can stop me?
He raises his hand to the sky. Electricity begins to course up his arm. It shoots upward, and a lightning bolt fires downward from the sky, directly at Hank. Make a dex save for me, Hank.
12.
Hank, the electricity pinpoints your head, enters through your body. You take 30 damage.
But Hank does manage to sidestep and takes half of that damage.
Slippery little snake, aren't you?
As you look at the doctor's face, you can see skin is just peeling away, and he is not acknowledging it. You can see bone underneath, and where the skin is disappearing, it's being replaced by oozing green flesh of the same type as the cephalopodic creatures you've encountered. But the doctor, despite the knife wedged in his chest, is standing upright, tall, and now that his glasses have fallen away, the electric blue eyes almost pierce through the night. You smell your clothes that have been burnt by the lightning for a moment as smoke rises off of them.
On that, Doc, we can agree. And Hank dives off the zeppelin, whistling as he does. The magic carpet scoops him up out of the air and skyrockets past the doctor up into the clouds.
Within the balloon, the Uber sledge slowly stamps towards Charlie, pulls back a fist, and it rockets towards Charlie's face. Charlie, that's going to be 11 damage. You feel some of the rocks on your face skitter off onto the metal below.
You hurt me, you bad.
Another fist comes in an uppercut. Charlie barely sidesteps the uppercut. You feel the wind as the fist passes you.
Charlie takes out the mysterious Fabergé egg from his coat pocket and smashes it onto the Uber sledge's face. Here goes nothing.
The shining, glittering egg impacts on the golem's face, shatters, and there's a blue wisp of smoke. It swirls around in a circle, and then out of the smoke, a very little man wearing a tight blue tuxedo and top hat steps out, dusts himself off. He stands about 4'8", pulls a cane out, leans on it, and exclaims,
It is I, Gregory, the spirit of the Fabergé. Thank you for awakening me, good sir.
What?
I will send you on a magical quest to a dungeon unknown, and in return for retrieving my precious amulet, I will give you your heart's desire.
Chuck, what the fuck is going on down there?
Hank, I don't know. Let me handle this.
The amulet is guarded by a large sphinx named Ticaragua.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a minute.
back up on top of the blimp. Tentacles start sprouting out of the doctor's back, wriggling, almost seemingly having a mind of their own as Hank circles on the flying carpet above.
You think you can run from me? You are a bigger fool than Adolf.
He levels his hand in a gun formation, and little magical missiles fire off towards the sky. And though each doesn't have a shattering impact on your body, 12 will do a lot. Hank, you take 25 damage as the force missiles impact on your body. 3 impact on your torso. 2 on your left arm. 4 more take your left leg out from under you. You're brought to your knees on the carpet.
What are you...
Dart number 10 hits the side of your neck, just barely grazing you. 11 takes your right ear off your head. And just as the 12th is about to strike your head, you duck, it scrapes your whole back perfectly along your spine. And even though your body has been ravaged by these, you are still conscious with 1 hit point left.
Why don't you come down here and we will finish this like you inferior men do?
The rest of his face falls away, and the disgusting head of a squid rises up out of his torso. The rest of the doctor's words are not heard through the night sky. They're heard in the deep recesses of your brain.
Come, don't be afraid.
Hank touches his earpiece. I'm in a bad way here, Chuck. I'm gonna try to buy you some time here, but not sure how much longer I can hold on. Whatever happens, I want you to survive. I think you owe me that. Later, pal.
Hank? Hank? Hank!
Hank takes out his radio earpiece and throws it into the distance. before bringing the magic carpet down to a smooth landing on the top of the zeppelin and shakily stepping off with the remainder of his strength.
There he is.
So you finally did it. You made the super race. What are you gonna do now? Swing by Coney Island for a hot dog and a victory lap on the carousel?
What was once the doctor steps away from the altar, taking its time to meet you in the middle of the zeppelin, but it continues to talk to you as it moves.
The next step. Where to start? There are so many options. But I will be honest. The world is a very big place. And despite the power I have obtained, I cannot be in multiple places at once. Perhaps it is time to reconsider your allegiance to humanity, Henry Blackstone.
Charlie, Hank only hears the roar of an engine, but in your ear, you hear a voice crackle over the radio.
One of them got aboard, but took care of it. Legs are gone, but still awake. It's been an honor serving with you, gentlemen. Bless you.
Hank, through the fog, above you, emerges a World War II bomber heading at a 90-degree angle towards the Earth. Smoke billows from the missing wing that it's not using as it free falls into the top of the zeppelin. Shaking the entire back half of it, the balloon pops up like a water park attraction and flings you, the doctor, and overturns the entirety of the zeppelin upside down. As the plane passes through, before it impacts into the Hudson, the radio weakly crackles.
Keep your family close, gentlemen. Pelican, signing off.
In the center of the blimp, just a few seconds earlier before the plane impacts,
The riddles are notoriously tricky, but you can find a clue in a temple on the moon.
crash. The plane plows through. Charlie, what are you doing? As the blimp overturns, you, Gregory the Spirit of the Fabergé, and the Uber Sledge are flung into the bottom part of the balloon like you're in the bottom of a big cup.
Oh my! I am invincible.
Gregory, a quick word.
Of course, good sir. What can I do for you?
Metal beams crash everywhere. The Zeppelin is losing altitude really fast, but the plane has crashed into it in a way that it is moving at a diagonal and into the Hudson rather than on top of the city.
If I accept your quest, is there a way you can get me and my buddy off this blimp safely?
Of course, both of you rock fellows will be saved.
Not that buddy.
What other buddy are you speaking of?
I know you're new to this, but there's a man up there at the top, or I guess bottom of this blimp, and he's in trouble, and I need him to get down to the ground with me.
Oh, will he help me get my amulet?
Yeah, yep, he's great at that. We're partners.
I'm not sure. This fellow seems quite strong.
Gregory, you're pissing me off.
Well, I wouldn't want to do that. Where are we going, good sir?
Get me to Hank, now.
Oh, well, you have to accept the quest before I help you. It is completely magically binding.
Yes, I accept this quest.
Fantastic! First to this Hank, then to the moon!
He shoots up through the sky, grabbing Charlie by the collar, leaving the Uber Sledge at the bottom of the Zeppelin.
Tiny Man and me!
What was probably gonna be the golem fight of the century is over as beams slam into the creature. You see bits of him shatter across the bottom, torn apart by the wreckage. Charlie, however, emerges out of the hatch completely unharmed as Gregory, the Spirit of the Fabergé, sings a little ditty.
Off to find my amulet so you can have your wish. We are going to fight the Sphinx deep amongst the fish.
So it's under the ocean?
No hints!
Oh!
Charlie emerges holding the pant leg of this 4'8" Spirit of the Fabergé as Hank, battered and beaten, is caught by the flying carpet in the sky. The two serendipitously meet up in the air.
What the hell?
It was the egg. It was the stupid egg I took. Now we're in this situation. Just go with it.
You must be Hank!
In the flesh. Hank throws two very weak thumbs up.
Oh my! Who's that?
It's Hank, Gregory.
No, I mean that.
You turn around. The doctor is floating in the sky, holding the book open.
No, this won't do at all.
The doctor, without even looking, flips across the book, points at a page. There is a muttering in a language you have never heard. I need everybody to make a wisdom save to maintain their sanity.
7.
12.
The world goes black. Gregory is no longer at your side. Hank and Charlie are in utter darkness, but as they reach around trying to find anything to hold on to as they float, they find each other, their hands clasped together.
Where are we, Chuck?
I don't know. Are we dead? Together?
Dead. I would not allow you so sweet a mercy.
It's coming from everywhere.
Oh God, are we in his head?
I think he might be in ours.
That's right, Blackstone. I can see everything.
Hank, though you can see the physical damage to your body, you can't feel any of it. Everything around you is pitch black. Everything seems kind of distant and far away. The only thing anchoring you to anything is each other.
Chuck, if this is how we go, I want you to know that I'm happy we're together. In the end.
Yeah. Same here, buddy. Wouldn't want to go any other way. You showed some real bravado out there.
Bravado. Good use of your word of the day.
Yeah. I was trying to save it for a special occasion, but I guess this'll do.
Oh, look at this.
Before your eyes flashes a vivid memory of Hank pulling the card from Elvira's deck, summoning Charlie. You see the rocks stack up from the street around you into this humanoid golem child. The memory plays out silently in front of you.
So that is how you made him. You just pulled a card from a deck, and here I was, thinking you were some accomplished sorcerer. Ha! How foolish of me. Must be the tiny sliver of humanity left.
I may not be the most accomplished sorcerer, but I am the luckiest man I know. Hank turns to Charlie. That was the best day of my life. I was shaping up to be a real nobody. No family, no friends, no purpose. And then I stole that deck, and the best pal that anyone could ever ask for just fell into my lap. And I didn't have to kill anyone to get him either.
The memory continues to play, and you see a storefront open, and you see a young, full of life Dante exit the building, look shocked, and quickly gesture for both of you to come inside. Young Hank and young Charlie stumble into the shop and disappear.
Now there is the sorcerer that I was looking for. What lessons did he teach you, I wonder? Perhaps I should poke through your brains a bit more to find out. Unless, of course, you'd like to spare us all the time and the pain and just tell me.
Hank ignores the voice, clasps a hand on Charlie's shoulder. I'm getting pretty sick of this guy poking around in our heads. How about you?
Yeah, getting pretty sick of it.
Hank pulls his revolver from its shoulder holster.
Hank, what are you doing?
Fixing to do something about it.
What are you doing, Hank?
Do you think you can escape me?
Hank pulls the hammer back.
What do you think that little toy is going to do to me?
Hank puts the barrel of the gun to his temple.
Hank, no.
Wait, what are you doing? No!
See you in the next one.
The black shoots backward. You are suddenly on the streets of Times Square. People are surrounding you, silently watching in the wreckage of the Zeppelin. A couple of people who have remained in New York City. The day is bright. The sun has come up over the horizon. It's probably 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Charlie, next to you on the ground. Hank lies dead, his suit disheveled, his cards strewn across the sidewalk, and his fedora starts to blow away in the wind.
Hank, talk to me, Hank.
Hank!
The doctor, in his cephalopodic form, is on his knees, gurgling blood that is pouring over his chin. Blood also pours out of the holes that you assume are his ears. The tentacles that frame his mouth begin to flail wildly as he struggles to breathe. I cannot feel it. The power's gone.
You're gonna start feeling a whole lot less.
Charlie goes to town on the doctor, pounding him into the pavement.
The doctor lies there broken. He sputters for a moment, reaches one hand upward.
Next time you try to make one of me, make sure he reads a book.
And Charlie slams one final fist right into his head, splattering the pavement with squid.
No! Please!
Hey, Chuck.
Hank, you're alive!
You whip around. Hank is very shakily getting to his feet. His tie is gone. You see a little golden glitter in the wind fade away, and deep in the distance, maybe it's a trick of the light, but it looks like a spectral Dante, far, far off. Perhaps there's a wink, perhaps there's a wave, you can't really tell, but it quickly disappears.
Hank, you're alive!
Read a book. That was a good one.
Charlie, in the midst of your hug, as you look around Hank's back, there's a bald spot where the bullet exited his head, but there's no wound, and his ear, which is still missing, is completely healed over.
How were you here?
Guess Dante had one more trick up his sleeve.
Come on, buddy. Let's get you out of here.
The two hug in the sunlight. You feel the warmth on your back, Hank. Charlie, you feel the warmth on your face.
That was pretty good. You even had me fooled.
Everyone's favorite part of the magic trick is the prestige, but mine's always been the turn. Makes for a better mystery.
The two look at each other. You feel the familial bond between you. And then, just to your left, you hear a voice.
Oh my God! Mr. Blackstone?
Dick McCoy drops his croissant, picks it back up.
What are you doing here? What's that thing?
He points at the zeppelin in the water.
Why didn't you answer my call?
Dick, you're a detective. Figure it out your damn self. Chuck, get me out of here.
Charlie picks up Hank and they walk away from Times Square.
The magic carpet slides in front of them.
They get on and fly away.
Dick McCoy picks up his croissant.
He called me a detective. This is the best day of my life.
A couple of months pass. Hank and Charlie get Dante's Inferno, the real Dante's Inferno, up and running and serving customers after they hide the more volatile or more potent magic items. Business is booming after Hank and Charlie were seen flying out of Times Square, or so the rumors go, though both men vehemently deny them. And Hank and Charlie finally save up enough money to take that vacation to Hawaii that they've always wanted to take. And we find Hank and Charlie, just a few months later, on a beach in Hawaii, laying out in a couple of chairs, holding coconuts filled with their favorite drinks.
Hank wears a wide-brim Panama hat, low on his head and cocked to the side as to cover his non-ear. He's smoking a pack of his favorites, Old Golds, and he sports an open midnight blue Hawaiian shirt.
Charlie is wearing his magical glasses and by now has decided on one standard look for when he's wearing them. He is 100% his own thing. He's not trying to look like one particular celebrity this time. He is a handsome, middle-aged man, one might call a silver fox, with a salt and pepper beard and suave salt and pepper hair. He's wearing an overstretched linen leisure suit with an open, hairy chest. He also has a fancy captain's hat on and little round sunglasses. Aloha, oi. Aloha, oi. You getting sick of this yet?
It never sounded better.
This is the life. Thanks for letting me pick the place. That magic carpet was fast. Beats the hell out of boats. I thought I didn't like planes. Jeez.
Both the men take a well-earned sip of their drinks, lay back, and just as they're about to fall asleep,
Pardon me, gentlemen. I believe we had an arrangement.
Gregory, the spirit of the Fabergé, spirals up through the sand as if from deep underground, sporting the exact same outfit as the last time you saw him and holding the head of the Uber sledge.
Friends?
Oh God. Oh God, right. Oh, right.
Now, it is time to go on the quest for my amulet. After all, I have saved your life several times. I think I'm owed something before I give you this wish.
Oh, you couldn't have worse timing, Greg. I mean, we're on vacation. Can we just send someone?
Well, you know that this contract is magically binding. Unless, of course, you can find someone who is more worthy.
Hank looks around.
You see a man deep in the background, sort of skipping rocks along the beachside. He looks kind of sad.
Oh my God, Hank. That's Jake Wade, the horrible Yankee player?
Gregory of the Fabergé.
Yes?
What if I told you that the finest athlete in all the world was here on this beach today?
Oh, that is indeed intriguing. Do tell further.
He's an incredible baseball player named Jake Wade, and he's too good for the Yankees. If you took him off the team for this season, he would fulfill your quest, and the Yankees would win honorably. No one would ever tell them again that Jake Wade made their team too good.
Well, you can't convince me not to take him with a sell like that. Excuse me, sir.
He calls over his shoulder. Huh?
I have a little proposition for you.
Look, guys, I'm not signing any autographs. I'm just trying to enjoy my vacation.
That's enough of that. Come, Uber Sledge. You, me, and Jake Wade have an adventure to go on.
Wait, no. Hey, guys, how do you know this guy?
Come, Uber Sledge. Me, you, me, and Jake Wade have an appointment with a naughty, riddlesome sphinx underwater.
What?
But first,
He grabs Jake Wade's hand.
to the
What are you talking? As they rise to the sky, there's a beautiful magical whistle that follows them.
You suck! And that's why they call him Whistling Jake. Want to go back to the bar?
I thought you'd never ask. Hank helps the giant, sexy Captain Charlie off of his beach chair, and they walk arm in arm back towards the beach bar to order countless more tiki drinks and enjoy the rest of their vacation.
We pan up to the sky. The sun is shining. Our heroes have emerged safe and victorious. And just to the left of the sun, there's a little twinkle as Gregory of the Fabergé and Jake Wade, with the head of the Uber sledge, exit the atmosphere.
Watch your step when the path is slick.
The workshop is dark. There's the clinking of hammers. A drill sounds in the distance. A man stands over a recliner in which another man is lying. It looks like the man, after he puts down a couple of power tools, has finished his work. Scared, he brings up a mirror for the person in the recliner to look at himself. In the mirror, we see Alphonse Moretti with his new jaw.
Alphonse slowly touches the jaw made entirely of marble, slams the mirror down, shattering to pieces by his side.
Blackstone, you wanted Marble Mouth. You got him. Bring me my violin.
The shadows, he can play a dirty trick, and moonlight's such a fickle guide, so watch your step.
This has been a Hero Club production, produced by Nick Williams and George Primavera, with associate producers Marty Abbey Schneider and Dylan McCollum. Voice acting by George Primavera, Nick Williams, Jack Quaid, Dylan McCollum, and Lizzie McGroder. Theme song written and performed by Matthew Special thanks to musicians Kevin MacLeod and Ben Doyle on violin. and to Marty Abbey Schneider for his incredible artwork. Thank you for all your wonderful support this season. It's been a truly wild ride. We hope you had as much fun listening to It Never Sleeps as we did making it. And as always, welcome to the club.
So watch your step, it's critical you don't botch your step, oh watch your step, when you step outside.
Dick McCoy drops his croissant.
Dick McCoy drops his croissant?
New York City has been evacuated and Dick McCoy is chilling in Times Square with a croissant.
That's crazier than Gregory.
I know.
Drops his croissant.